There is only one you, and that is your superpower. You can't F that up. However, you can get stuck. That's why I created this space called Unstuck Yourself with Crystal Simmons. Unstuck Yourself is about figuring out what has you feeling frustrated, isolated, or depleted of energy so that you're able to unstuck yourself on your journey through life when you don't know how to move forward. Unstuck yourself in your career that no longer excites and challenges you. Unstuck yourself with negative thoughts that seem to be doing cartwheels in your head consistently. I don't have the answers. You do. You always have. I'm providing the time, space, and grace for you to reconnect to that knowing. I'm Crystal Simmons, coach, speaker, and facilitator, and I'm grateful you made it here. Let's begin to unstuck yourself. Hey peeps, it's Crystal, the Unstuck Coach, to coaches who are stuck, not charging their worth and offering free sessions. By uncovering mindset blocks and shifting their energy, they can then charge and attract their worth with ease and excitement. As life keeps lifing with ups and downs, Crystal's AAAs make you aware to what is and isn't working to uncover your ability to create clarity to take action. Welcome back, peeps. How are y'all feeling today? I can share what's been coming up in Crystaltown lately for me. I have been in this zone of complete chillness. Like, am I tired or am I just feeling at peace? It's really surreal because I haven't experienced this feeling before. And it's been going on for the last few days. But yeah, so this episode will reflect that energy. So let's see what comes from that. Also, I am 2/3 finished with my coaching certification. Yay! I wrote a book report. We completed weekly live webinars. As a coach, I had to coach a peer, and one of my peers in the cohort had to coach me. So we actually completed 24 one-hour peer coaching sessions in just a matter of months, along with coaching my current coaching clients, which keeps me shifting my mindset and my energy like all the time. It's all really life-changing and life-altering, and I'm just so thankful for this experience. Oh, and I had my first phone interview for a new position to work alongside my coaching business, which has been fun and exhilarating now that I have new perspectives to see that this new and kind of scary adventure of job hunting, and we will get more into that in just a few moments of what's been coming up while I'm applying or not applying. So that's a little bit of what's been going on in Crystaltown. And if you wish to share what has been coming up in your world, please email me at crystal@crystalclearpurposes.com, especially if you've been feeling the same chillness, like just peace, just, I don't know, whatever you've been feeling. So with the series Shame, Doubt, and Fear, oh my, we are turning our attention to imposter syndrome. And we'll look at 3 parts to this topic today. The first, y'all know I love definitions, so we'll define the term imposter syndrome, how it may show up, and is it really needed? Dum, dum, dum. And so let's begin. What is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. I haven't really labeled myself as having imposter syndrome. Even when using the term, it never really resonated with me, but I can see me living out the definition in certain actions or a lack of action in just various occasions. So I have seen myself be persistent in not believing that I have achieved something with my own efforts or skills. Even saying that, I don't know if that's to be true for me, but I still have fear. So if we take it back of how imposter syndrome might show up, I want to say it was hard for me to dig and be like, when did that show up? Because I have a tinge of perfectionism, which I just recently uncovered through the coaching program as a coach, you learn how to check your own self first before you think you can come into a space and partner with a client to help them uncover their mindset blocks or limiting beliefs or assumptions or interpretations. You got to do it for yourself first. It always starts with us first. So of course I wouldn't label myself an imposter because my perfectionism was like, no, we good. And that might be another topic for another episode. But when I was applying for positions to leave my corporate job in 2019, I would bypass a lot of open positions. I can honestly say a lot of the positions I apply for, I would always look for, is this in the medical field? Does it have anything to do with radiology? Does it have some administrative work? Those are like the top 3. Anything outside of that, mentioning project managing skills, never would have done that. Facilitating group workshops or trainings, would not apply for that. Implementing new electronic computer systems, updating policies, writing, never would have done that. Even though those are all the things, and there were so many more that I did in this position as a chief technologist in 2019. And I want you to really understand and ask yourself, have you too been limiting yourself by just categorizing yourself as fitting into one box, maybe 2, possibly 3, because mine was radiology, instructing, and then also maybe some administrative work. Don't ask me to do too much because I don't know everything. And I can recall looking for part-time jobs to help with that. Ooh, I don't know everything. So if I work a part-time job, then possibly they won't need too much from me. And if we take out the term imposter syndrome and go back to the series of shame, doubt, and fear, obviously this is riddled with just doubt of this is a new experience. I will be presenting myself to a new person, a new company, a new opportunity. And in the newness, our brain kind of like, wait a second. We've been rocking and rolling a certain way for a certain amount of time. And now you want to throw all these new things out. Of course, doubt is going to pop up. That is normal. The fear creeps in when I don't hit the apply button. Because what if I apply? And what if they want more from me and I'm not willing to give to them? Or I can't give to them? Or I don't know how to give to them? Go back to doubt. Just bouncing back and forth. And I recall when I applied for a job, a couple of the positions I was told, you're overqualified. Ma'am, sir, what does that mean? Does anyone know what being overqualified even means? It's almost like you're dating someone. It's not you, baby. It's not you. It's me. Well, fix you then. Because I'm trying to get this together. So if I'm overqualified, what does that mean? Anybody working in HR, can you please tell me what that means? Email me. I'm so curious to know. Maybe I'll Google it. But it's just, that's for another conversation. But I really want to know if someone can shed some light on that. Anywho, referring back to 2019 and looking for the correlation of the imposter syndrome with applying for jobs when I wanted to leave my corporate job and being able to recognize, was there a time where, again, if I look at the definition, I was persistent about not believing in my own success is deserved. And I don't know if I could say yes. And I'm curious to know if any of you all can literally say, yes, I know exactly when that has shown up for me and it continues to show up. Or if you feel the same way where maybe you will have incidents of it, but maybe it's not persistent. If we fast forward to 2022, the year we're in now, and like I mentioned earlier that I've been applying for new positions, it's been kind of eye-opening where I'm clicking on certain positions, which one, taking the leap of doing something new opens up a whole pathway of other things that just expand your perspective. And while I've been applying, I keep seeing messages, and I'm going to read it to you, which I've never seen before, but it shows the importance of representation, but also meaning what you say by saying what you mean. So I'm going to read this message, and I keep looking at messages when I apply for certain jobs that'll have this in the application and how it shifted my energy while I was applying. So it goes like this. Members of identity groups who have been excluded in society for centuries tend to read a job description and not apply unless they believe that they fit 100% of the listed responsibilities. Do not allow such a thought to stop you from applying to this role. Black, Indigenous, and people of color, LGBTQ, 2IA+, or any other historically excluded groups are encouraged to apply. Wow. This is your reminder that we don't know what we don't know until we know. And now you know. The first step is forever going to be awareness, peeps. There's no way to get away from that. And the reason why I'm sharing that with you, I've heard this said before. Apply for the job. You don't have to be 100% match. I have gotten jobs, many of my jobs, where I wasn't 100% matched. Maybe I was like 60 or 70, and because I knew the hiring manager, it gave me a boost of confidence, because when I said I was thinking about applying for a position, they'd be like, yes, do it. And I'm like, ooh, cool. So it takes away that doubt and fear, like, ooh, what if I don't get it? What if I'm not a good match for it? How else would I know if I don't apply? So to read that, and y'all, this was a position that I would say in my mind, I was matched for a good 60%. And like I mentioned, many of my jobs, that's where I was matched previously before. But it was for a position for people that I knew of them who were hiring, or I knew someone that knew the hiring manager. So it gave me that confidence of, I know who I am. I know other people pick up on my intentions and my energy. So at least I have a little oomph of validation where they're not just reading a piece of paper and being like, yes or no. However, in that past position, I'm reading it. I'm not really 100% matched, but I still got the jobs. Not all of them. But if I'm fast forwarding to 2022, present day, I'm reading the job qualifications. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do that. Or I haven't identified myself as, so let me walk down the list. With my product-based business with Arbonne, it taught me so much about business, marketing, being able to create flyers, being able to improve my messaging and writing captions, but also going live and speaking publicly and interacting with others, increasing my engagement, and the list goes on and on. These positions that I have been looking at and perusing have to deal with marketing. And I have told myself repeatedly, not out loud, but subconsciously, you're not a marketer. You're not a writer. Yeah. When did I become a chief technologist? I had to apply for the position and incorporate the skills. But everyone who saw me did not label me as, you are the chief tech. You are supposed to be doing this. And maybe they did. And maybe that's why I'm struggling, or was struggling so hard, because I had other people who saw me as a chief technologist, would address me as such, and then I followed the lead. In entrepreneurship, you have to be the lead. And as I noticed myself applying or bypassing different positions, it hit me. No one's going to validate you. Working as an entrepreneur, I can't tell the new hiring manager, yes, you could hit up my previous supervisor and they could share a little bit more about my work ethics and the projects or the things I did in that position. You have to do that for yourself. So while I'm bypassing some of these positions, it literally just hit me. And I thought to myself, oh, no one's going to validate you if you don't validate you. So I really had to go back, and luckily I had someone reach out for a partnership about a month or so ago. and they wanted a speaker profile. I had never done a speaker profile. Thankfully, I'm in this dope group called Black Speakers Collection, where it's just so many diverse groups of just Black people all over, and we're a resource for one another. And I hit the group, asked them about their speaker profile, and they gave me some tips. We were able to discuss how much they charge for this type of engagement. And in me creating this profile, I started pulling things that I did in the past and was blown away by how much I had done. And it's things like that where if we're just doing, and not even taking inventory of all that we're creating, but also taught ourselves, continue to be consistent with, improve with that. No one else is going to tell you. You might get someone to say, oh, I love your content. It's so clean. And I had people tell me that. But in applying, I'm like, well, this is different. It's not different. And I started applying for social media, content creators, blogging. I have been writing for years, and my captions have been really long and they've been really short. But there's more than one way to blog too. And in me looking at different positions and then researching those positions, I've started learning so much more. I'm like, oh my goodness, like it doesn't have to be one way. And that's where I was finding my brain to go. And it was keeping me stuck. And y'all know how I feel about being stuck. Hello. So, do you resonate with the term imposter syndrome? I had mentioned I really don't. However, I do want to give a shout out to my Coaching for Everyone cohort. She's a peer of mine. Her name is Wanika, and she and I were going back and forth on Instagram and DMs, and we're talking about topics, and I really appreciate you and being able to help me expand my episodes. So thank you, Wanika. And we were talking about witnessing that there are very capable women turning down opportunities to apply for promotions. And Wanika also said she's watched intelligent and educated people stay in positions that bring them misery. And as I started perusing the internet to elaborate on imposter syndrome, what is being said, it led me to this dope article of basically backing up what I had been feeling when I said I don't resonate really with imposter syndrome. But the article kind of leads into, is imposter syndrome some BS? And it goes through, so it says imposter syndrome took a fairly universal feeling of discomfort, second guessing, and mild anxiety in the workplace and pathologized it, especially for women. And as white men progress, their feelings of doubt usually abate as their work and intelligence are validated over time. And the article that I wanted to share was featured in the Harvard Business Review, and it's titled, Stop Telling Women They Have Imposter Syndrome. And the authors are Rashika Tolson and Jodi Ann Burry. And if you haven't read this article, you have time before we dig in a little bit deeper, which we'll do on the next episode. But I'll share the opening phrase pretty much. Imposter syndrome, or doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud at work, is a diagnosis often given to women. But the fact that it's considered a diagnosis at all is problematic. The concept, whose development in the 70s excluded the effects of systematic racism, classism, xenophobia, and other biases, took a fairly universal feeling of discomfort, second guessing, and mild anxiety in the workplace and pathologized it, especially for women. The answer to overcoming imposter syndrome is not to fix individuals, but to create an environment that fosters a number of different leadership styles and where diversity of racial, ethnic, and gender identities is viewed as just as professional as the current model. I took that quote from the article that really added value to my perspective of this conversation. So shout out to the authors again, Rashika Tolson and Jodi Ann Burry, for presenting this, but also having a follow-up article that we'll discuss in our next episode. But the question is, in what ways would your life be different if you no longer accepted the term imposter syndrome? How would that shift the way you see yourself and you validate yourself and you celebrate yourself? If this title or term was just removed from your knowing, would you feel more empowered to do certain things, to apply for certain positions? Because having fear and doubt is normal, meaning we never get rid of those. But in our acknowledging it and being able to accept it, but move forward, whatever way that works for you. For me, if I'm being nervous or if I'm fearful or if I'm doubtful, asking questions always allows me clarity. And in me receiving clarity, I'm able to then trust myself to make the next step. It could be to the right, it could be to the left, it could be forward, it could be in the same position. Because I trust that with the information that I'm seeking, I will be able to discern what is productive for me. Not all the time, but even if I quote unquote get it wrong, I still trust that I know that was something I needed to experience in order to make my forward thinking or forward movement solid. Or maybe it was because I forgot, Grace, people, give yourself grace. And consider this. What if imposter syndrome was no longer a part of your vocabulary or your knowing? What if it was something of the past? And I encourage you to read this article in the description of this show. Click on the link and read the article, Stop Telling Women They Have Imposter Syndrome. And I promise you will gain so much awareness and the ability to then decide, how different would my life be if I no longer accepted the term imposter syndrome? I hope you give yourself that gift to experience that. So then we could talk about what that looks like in our next episode. And also not putting the responsibility on you, but on the organizations to create that safe space. What do you say? You down? I think you are. Today, we're keeping it short and simple. Please do yourself a favor and read the article, Stop Telling Women They Have Imposter Syndrome. And be sure to catch next week's episode when we'll look at how organizations can end imposter syndrome. That link is also included in today's show notes, which is aka the episode description. And I'm curious if you are team imposter syndrome label or team no labels. Feel free to email me at crystal@crystalclearpurposes.com or message me over in the IG neighborhood at Crystal Clear Purposes. I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation next week. If you have been finding these episodes helpful and are looking to upgrade your experience to a more personalized one, I have 2 spots available for one-on-one coaching where I will guide you through your own stuck moments in your career, your relationships, your thoughts by uncovering what may have been covered up that has been keeping you from recognizing your fullest, dopest self to shift your energy and begin achieving what you knew you were meant to achieve and receive. Start by scheduling a 30-minute clarity call with me and allow our time together to determine if it's a fit. Thanks again to my monthly supporters of the Unstuck Yourself with Crystal Simmons podcast. You are changing my life with 1 monthly donation at a time. So I really appreciate it. Here are the unstuck questions and gems that were dropped. Number 1. Have you been limiting yourself by categorizing yourself to fit in just one box of what you are capable of? Number 2, as an entrepreneur and really anyone else that is in the working field, no one is going to validate you. You have to validate you. Number 3, do you resonate with the term imposter syndrome? And number 4, how different would your life be if you no longer accepted the term or labeled yourself as having imposter syndrome? Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, rate, and leave a review of this podcast to boost and highlight the work we are putting in together to raise the energy of others, build a safe space to grow and honor our voices and stories through it all. I am sending you love and light through this mic as you write your unstuck questions and gems to turn your actions into wins. Y'all remember, until then, stay unstuck. Bye, peeps.